13 years old.
Recording in progress.
Okay, let's get ready to start the show. I'm gonna give y'all a countdown. And Dr. Dre should be able to hear you guys, and you should be able to see each other. And I'm going to give you a countdown. And then after that, you guys can go forward with the show. All right, guys, here we go. Give you a countdown. Dr. Dre, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Yes, I can. Excellent. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, action.
Hi, my name is Aaliyah Johnson, and welcome to Aaliyah's Tea Talk. I'm in 7th grade. I'm 13 years old, and I attend Discovery Middle School. And today we're doing a Q&A with Dr. Dre, and this is my co-host. I'll let him introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Tyler Jackson. I'm 16 years old. I'm a junior at Lincoln College Prep, and these are our guests.
Hi, I'm Dakari. I'm 15. I go to Lincoln College Prep and I am a freshman.
Hi, my name is Dwayne. I am 14 years old and I attend University Academy.
Today, I'll welcome in Dr. Dre, and I'll let Dr. Dre introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Dr. Dre, formerly of a show called MTV Raps Today, formerly of the movie Who's the Man, formerly from multiple radio stations in New York, Hot 97, Power 105, WBLS, and my college radio station, WBAU 90.3 FM at Adelphi University. I'm an author, actor, activist. I'm also a blind amputee and a type 2 diabetic. I consider myself to be super BAD. That's super bad.
So, Dr. Dre, we have some questions for you today.
Please, let's get it going on.
Okay.
My first question I have for you is, what inspired you to use your platform to define issues like crime and homelessness?
What inspired me to use my platform to discuss crime, homelessness, mental health, fitness, also because I'm an activist who deals with greater accessibility for people with disabilities and special need. The inspiration was everyone. The inspiration of the lack of people being able to function in a world right now that has so many technological advances, but yet it moves very slow for the community of people who are blind, deaf, people who have amputations, people who deal with diabetes, people who deal with mental health and wellness. And also, I found a real problem dealing with homeless. And my problem is, why do we live in the wealthiest nation on this planet and we have homelessness? We have people who cannot find a place to stay because things are so overpriced, and we blame the government, we blame the president, we blame, but we don't realize in November, as you guys are getting older and you get the opportunity to vote for the first time, you can make changes locally, statewide, and federally. And that's how we start working on solving the homeless problem, because everyone in this country, whether you've migrated here, whether you grew up here, has certain inalienable rights, just as human beings. And for our humanity, that we must be able to at least put a roof over your head so that you can start to operate and find ways to take care of you, your family, etc. That's why I got involved, and I use my platforms to discuss this, because my major goal is greater accessibility for people with disabilities and special needs. Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Dre. So, my next question is, what steps do you think governments and policymakers should take to address the root causes of homelessness? How can we promote empathy and understanding towards individuals experiencing homelessness?
Well, when we're talking about working with government to promote empathy towards the homeless, towards people with disabilities, towards young folks like yourself, it's not about just promoting it to the government. It's about your engagement with government. And you may say, oh, I'm too young to do this right now. No, this is your time. This is the time that you have to go find out who's your local congressman, who's your local representatives, who's your state representatives, who's your federal representatives, because people are trying to take away your rights, especially young girls, young women's rights to be able to govern their own bodies. And when we talk about just governing your own body, that leads to what happens in homelessness because people get to make different decisions. If you want these programs to work, you must participate. You must be able to speak to your representatives and be able to influence. And I do mean not just on the internet, not just on the other social media platforms, but the hand to hand, face to face. You have to get involved. And the way to get involved is not just with empathy. We understand this is a major problem in the United States, not just in big cities, not just in rural areas, everywhere. So, how do we get that to change? You have to go out and engage. You have to get people to vote. So, if you can't vote right now, you must get people 18 years and older to help you vote and help get legislation passed from your local area to your state area to your federal area. So, it matters who you vote for. Please do your research on these candidates. Don't just pick them because they're wearing a nice pair of shoes, they got the nails done, they got the suave clothing on, and they can speak real quick and promise you everything, but do nothing. Ask the hard questions. Why are there so many homeless people? And if they keep saying it's because it's so expensive and we're working on it, well, you're not working fast enough, well enough, and you're not getting it across. You can create groups, all of you young students here, to reach other young adults who are 18 and over who can vote to force an issue and change the way things are being taken care of. That's why engagement in your political process is so important. Don't be apathetic, be engaged.
Yeah, Dr. Dre. So just to piggyback off of that, how do you see your music and art playing a part in addressing the social issues?
Well, music and art have always dealt with social issues since it began. When we were enslaved, when we arrived here, we used music to communicate across plantation to plantation, state to state, river to river, area to area, because the sound of the drums let you know where your people were. And we've always had major language barriers. So I encourage you while you're going to school, take another language. Be proficient in English as well as Spanish, as well as Creole, as well as French. It doesn't seem that you're weak because you know other languages. That's a strength so that you can communicate with others like yourselves and be able to build strong communities. So it takes how you participate to make the greater changes that you want. So with music and art, what happens, it makes it a little easier because you hear the beat, you like to dance, you shake your booty, you make it move around, you do what you need to do, but you're communicating. And sometimes in the lyrics, they pass along their experiences so that you can say, this may be what's going on, but maybe you shouldn't go that route. Maybe we need to start putting the guns down and start talking to each other and finding better ways to create peace in our neighborhoods so we can grow our neighborhoods, build our economic balances and economic profitability, and start living the lives that we can make these changes.
Very, very interesting, Dr. Dre. And just to add on to that, can you share any personal experiences or encounters that have shaped your perspective on justice and on like crime and like social interactions?
Well, my experiences that deal with crime, social experiences, stuff like that. I'm born and raised in New York on Long Island in a town called Westbury, but the hamlet is called Newcastle because Newcastle was where all the people of color were pushed to that side, and we used to cross the roadway called Brush Hollow Road to go into the more affluent side called Westbury. And in growing up at that time, we grew up with a multiple dimensional community where I had Italians, Jewish people, Spanish people, uh, Irish people, um, Jamaicans, where my family's descended from, Haitians, French, you name it. We had a massive different community that we grew up understanding and learning to speak with people and communicate, where we started to find the best ways we could all get along. And in us trying to get along, it helped us make better choices and better ways to sit there and say, we need these things to work for us. And when we did that, things start to change. It wasn't always positive and it wasn't always easy, but you have to start somewhere to get that to become what you need. So you can't just sit there and say, oh, well, they need to do this. They need to do this. This one needs to do this. You have to become they. I love when people say, well, they didn't let me have this and they didn't give me an opportunity. And they. You are they. We are the community. So if you have crime in your neighborhood and you know who does what, because same thing happened when I was growing up, same thing that goes on today. It's not a big secret. Everyone has a camera on their phone. Everyone has communication devices. Everyone has a way of getting to somebody. Now, our experience unique to each other? Absolutely. But if we don't start communicating properly and discussing and working together, we're creating annihilation and genocide amongst ourselves. And that can't be accepted. That's unacceptable.
Now, I know going into this field of work, you experience a lot of struggles. How do you stay grounded to the people in your community and just give them hope for better days?
The way I stay grounded in my community, not only just to give hope, because hope is universal with the Creator, I learn to listen more. And when I have something to say, I make sure it's something that's going to be positive, something that's going to bring questions that I can answer. But if I cannot answer them, I always seek mentorship of others who are smarter, more experienced, and have a different point of view. So I don't get stuck with just seeing things one way. And that's where we get this log jam because we're not communicating with each other in a way that we can grow and become better with each other rather than staying stagnant. So it's about speaking to somebody who's who's a little older than you, who has different experiences than you. It doesn't mean you have to accept everything that they say. You can agree to disagree. But when you come at them in a fashion where you say, oh, well, this is the new time. This is the new age. This is a new way to be. You have to remember, they didn't get to the age they got from 0 to 50, 60, 70, and through the roof. Learn to embrace some of these folks. Learn to embrace some of your peers and some adults, even if they're doing wrong. The one thing we used to always do when we hung out with everybody. We knew who was doing what positive. We knew who was doing what negative. Sports was a big thing when I was growing up. But then music took over because we all wanted to play in the bands, wanted to be a part of the orchestras, you wanted to sing in select choir. Then this new thing came around that was called rap music. And rap music spoke directly to the community and to its participants. And in doing so, it changed the level of communication. So you got to be responsible when you put those lyrics on a piece of paper and then you go in the studio and you espouse your thoughts. Because you got to think more than you and than your community is paying attention. So you have to find ways to communicate. And it's not about, oh, well, you're not hard enough. Oh, this was real in the streets. This was real here. We create our own demise based on something that somebody is making up. Every rapper is not a gangster. Every rapper is not tough. And every rapper is not soft. First and foremost, protect your queens. The ladies, the young ladies, your grandmothers, your aunties, your mamas, your neighbors are the most important people on this planet because they bring life to your community. So we as young men, older men, have to learn to communicate better to each other because generationally, it matters. I did not get where I got on my own. I had a lot of incredible men and a lot of incredible women and my peer groups that developed me to understand what was right and what was wrong. And coming from a gentleman who wrote a song on Run DMC's Raising Hell album with my group Original Concept, and the song is called Proud to Be Black. I wrote that with my group Original Concept.
Thank you, Dr. Dre. My
You're
next
welcome.
question I have for you is my next question I have for you is how do you believe we can tackle crime in the underserved communities of some cities or most cities?
How can we deal with crime in the underserved cities and in our underserved neighborhoods? That's a challenge. That's a big challenge because you don't want to be, the police are there to protect and serve, but you also have to learn to interject with some police officers and some community leaders to make sure that they do protect and serve you, but they hear you and they listen to you. So everybody they see wearing a hoodie, they don't fear. Because when 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, and 14-year-olds are walking around with weapons and guns, remember that police officer, that other person in your school, that other person in your community, they don't want to have confrontation. They want to be able to go home, feed their families, or just go home and watch TV or go on the internet, whatever. But when we challenge each other because we're not being communicating, well, crime has a way to find its way because everybody wants to get paid. I need that money. I need the new kicks. I need this. And I got to see this because I saw it on the video and they had it and they flashing cash like crazy. Understand something. Flashing cash may seem cool, but that doesn't go further your existence the way you think it is. Education is your number one thing you should be flashing, learning, because in today's technological and advanced economic systems globally, that's how you start to make changes. You all make those changes. I'm not asking you to go stand up and try to take a gun from somebody or go on the corner and tell the drug dealer stop dealing because we're going to stop you or whip out a knife and make those kind of confrontations. No. But the more that you are there, the more that you can fight your own sense of crime and work with some of the authorities. Not all, it's difficult because of the communication. But remember, people have fear because you don't speak to each other. People are afraid when they feel threatened because you feel that too. So, how do we get to that balance and find that space? The first things first is working together. Protect your queens, princesses, aunties, and that starts the movement. Now, if you have people that use substances or they decide I gotta smoke this weed because it makes me feel better, I can't argue that in that fashion. What I can say, there's a lot of folks out there that may want to help you with that. Because there's reasons that you go to different substances, whether you're drinking alcohol or a beer or smoking the weed, it's okay because it's from the ground. The weed that exists today is not the weed from the day when it just strictly came from the ground. It's chemically laced. If you vape, those are chemicals and they affect your mental health, they affect your physical health, and it also affects your community. It just does. Now, some people say, I got to sell this so I can feed my family. Well, maybe we have to come up with better solutions and work together to get that same type of income to you to help feed your family. There's no perfect solution or perfect answer. The first place we have to start is communicating and working together to make our homes and communities safer.
Okay, Dr. J, that was really good. My question is, well, basically, I know like a lot of teens and stuff, they smoke and they do a lot of those things to relieve stress or like just do things that, or maybe just want to do it just because. So that leads on to like, what advice would you give to teenagers who may be like dealing with struggling, like with mental health issues and stuff like that? So I know that's like a big topic and that's a big deal to like teenagers in this generation.
First of all, I really apologize from a generational standpoint that your generation is dealing with so much stress, anxiety, frustrations. And the thing is, you're looking who to blame something on. You're looking how can I deal with that? So you go to other substances that make you feel better, but in the long run, it's not giving you true answers. I told you it's something that we have to work together. We have to listen to you guys because we don't know. And some people come from a single family, single parent family. Some people have both parents. Some people don't even live with their parents. Some live in foster care. Some people are living in the streets. We that we know. But to find the solutions, we have to listen to you. And then you got to find other people who can help you in the medical field, in the therapeutical field, the sociological and psychological field, because they are well trained to start that process. But they got to find people that are willing to listen to you as well as give you some sense of advice to start. It's a process because we didn't just end up here. When I was growing up, we were frustrated. I could say, "Oh, don't smoke weed, go out and jog, get into sports, do this, do that." But when you watch your sports heroes and they're doing the same thing and they're smoking weed, you say, "Hey, but they're doing it and they get paid." It's very difficult for me to sit here and judge anybody based on what their need is. But what I can do is listen to you and try to find some kind of steps to create a better environment because everybody doesn't want to smoke weed. I mean, I always make a joke about how do you get weed and you don't have no money for any food? And I get this response like, "Yo, man, I always got me some weed money. Always got a weed account." I said, "But you got weed, but you don't have nutrition for yourself." So the other problem in the community is our nutritional system. Most of the foods we eat are really no good for us. We should really be eating more fruits, and fresh produce. All those fast food restaurants we go to that we feel we're getting a quick fix, that's as bad as the outer drugs that we take to feel better. Because I'm a self-confessed food addict. Food is an issue because we don't know how to process what foods we really should be eating versus what is around us. So if only thing around you is food that doesn't give you nutritious value, but only that also harms you and harms your mental state, you're going to stay in that situation. So again, we have to find better ways to educate your generation, and your generation has to find better ways to educate our generation. Because we only have one planet, one planet. And if you look at the way the weather is acting and its extreme nature, we haven't seen this before. Don't get fooled to think, "Oh, this is normal." No, this is new normal, normal that we've never seen before, where you have 80-degree days in March. It's unusual, especially in certain parts of the country. You have tornadoes everywhere, hurricanes everywhere, not just regular ones, huge climate change that affects your communities, your homes, your living. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And that anxiety, that frustration, that stress comes up. And like I said, I don't have the solutions, but we need to start the conversations and then work together to create solutions one place at a time.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of something I heard earlier about people supplying drugs and making a certain amount of income. Uh, how would you want those people to make the same income? Because I know certain degrees equal certain jobs that pay out the income they would be making selling those drugs, how would you get those people to make the same income without those degrees? Or because college equals like a lot of money. So how would those people make the same
No,
amount of money?
okay, well, let me wipe that away from you. College does not equal money. College equals education and opportunities to make money. Because today's technological whirlwind and superforce, that internet with those platforms, whether you be on Facebook, whether you be on Reels on the IG, or whether you be on OnlyFans, or whether you're on TikTok, or whether you're on all those things, they've created opportunities for you to actually make income. It's changed the game. But also the legalization of marijuana and weed has changed the game. So you have to find best ways to educate. What do you really want to do? Oh, I don't want to sit in school for 9 years and maybe I'm gonna make a salary and I still gotta live with my parents in the basement because I can't afford to buy or get my own place. You can speed that process up with education now. And most of you at this age, you're more educated and more technologically proficient than I am. And I use big words for a reason because I want you to go look them up if you can't define them. Because all your help is in your hand. But don't just trust that. Verify, research, take the time out. Because when there's stuff on that internet that you want to do and that you like, you go through the hell and high water to participate. Some folks use that PS5 and Xbox as a way to make money by playing games. Certain industries will pay you to do that now so that they can use what your knowledge is and apply it to their technology. Even using armed forces, United States military talks to people who play games because they don't send pilots anymore, they use drones. So if you get the technological proficiency from the games and understand how to use a drone, they put you in a second and give you a good salary and put you up so you can do it. There are a lot of options out there. Go figure some options out that you are comfortable with. Nobody who sells drugs on the corner really wants to be there. They don't. Most people who do stuff like that, they don't want to walk around with a pistol in the back of their pants and running around and have to keep their eyes open all the time. And you got to sleep with your eyes in the back of your head. It's no way to live. It's no way to be. So when we sit down and you say, well, this is the lowest common denominator, and this works the best for me, because you haven't tried other things. Well, I don't have a computer, Dr. Dre. You got a cell phone, because you can get a cell phone for free. Those opportunities are here for you. But if you refuse to go grasp those opportunities, go figure it out. Get with some friends who are smarter than you. Hang out with the smart people who think they know it all. Have that rub off on you. Because you're smart too. Matter of fact, you're smart, and you hustle. But put that hustle with your muscle and make a different change. Because the opportunities are here for you. But if you go, nope, I can only do this, I can only do that. There's nothing wrong with reading books. There's many ways to read books and gain information. Read stories about other people, how they get to the place they are. Read autobiographies. There's tons of self-help books right now. When you start making those changes, watch the changes in your life.
Thanks for that, Dr. Dre. That also leads me to my next question on how you actually got into your artist career and like started making music. Like, what gave you the encouragement to actually like do that?
Well, I started with music since I was in 5th grade. I played trumpet with some of my friends who ended up being in some groups I was involved with because music was that important to us. I was in the drum and bugle corps. I used to play sports, football, basketball, baseball, track and field. I was encouraged by my parents. I was the baby of the bunch, but our neighborhood encouraged intramurals, outside educational stuff. We had jobs when we were growing up from the ages of 13 to going into getting out of high school. Everything was always around us. But the most interesting thing that gravitated and expelled, not expelled me, it accelerated me is I was in college. I went to university. I went first to a 2-year junior college called Nassau Community College. I got on a dean's list because my father passed away at 56 years of age, and I was 17. And my father asked me as he was passing away, what do I really want to do? And I had a scholarship to play football at Syracuse University, the University of Southern California. And when I went to Nassau Community, they gave me a scholarship because they knew how good I was at football. But he said, that's all you want to do is play football? What else do you want to do? I said, Dad, but I want to make money to help the family. He said, do me a favor, study hard. Whatever you do, study hard. So those first 2 years in community college, that's what I did. And I started getting A's everywhere. I was never like a top student. I was pretty good, but because of all the other stuff that I did, acting in school plays, singing in the choir, in select choir, uh, doing parties as a DJ, music was always a part of my life. And when I started DJing, it was the early days. So it was a different type of DJing to start. But then I started saying, I like doing this. And when he passed away, I took that study hard to heart. So when I left Nassau Community College on the dean's list, I had scholarship opportunities at Cornell University, NYU University, and Adelphi University, which I went there and I won't lie. I followed a young lady there who was my girlfriend at the time. And I said, yeah, this is where I want to go. She's there, I'm there, this is great. And I got a scholarship. So I went to my first Black music class with the late, great Dr. Andre Strober. And we were learning the history of Black music from the African continent to the American continent, now the United States. And I met these 3 other gentlemen in my class. One gentleman's name was Harold McGregor, AKA Harry Allen. I got to ask him, hip hop a media assassin for a group named Public Enemy. I met another gentleman named Mr. Bill Stephanie, who eventually became vice president of Def Jam Recordings and president of Def Jam Recordings. And then I met another friend of mine. His name was Carlton Ridenhour, aka Chucky D, aka Chuck D of Public Enemy. And we were all in this class. And Chuck was a part of a DJ group called Spectrum City. I had a DJ group called The Concept. So when we were sitting in that class discussing music and what we liked, we talked about James Brown, Jackson 5, Earth, Wind and Fire, Parliament Funkadelic. These names may be foreign to you, but look them up. We talked about the Whispers, Commodores, and some of these artists went on to have incredible careers. So I always was like, man, I went to this Earth, Wind and Fire concert and I was like, I want to do that. This is incredible. Look at their performance. Because I grew up in New York, so I went to Broadway shows. I saw Dreamgirls, the Broadway play. I saw The Wiz on Broadway. So I was influenced by all these different things. So when I got to Adelphi, Chuck and Bill brought me up to this radio station called WBAU, 90.3 FM, 516-747-4757. We're bad and you know it. See, we had a whole thing with that. And we became hip hop's greatest incubator with people like President Hank Shockley, Keith Shockley, aka Wizard KG, Butch Cassidy, and the one and only MC DJ Flavor, aka Flavor Flav, Everybody knows who Flavor Flav is. I hope so. If you're not, look him up. And out of doing that radio station, we used to do radio promos. I did two. One was called Can You Feel It? The other was called Knowledge Me, which I created the 808, that super bass sound that you hear in music today. I created that. And Chuck and Flavor did this song called Public Enemy Number One, which is promos we did for the radio station. I got an opportunity to meet a gentleman named Rick Rubin and Russell Simmons because Run DMC and the late great Jam Master Jay was interviewed at our radio station. And they said, yo, man, you need to take this music up to Rick and Russell and let them hear it. So I took it to Rick and he loved the concept at the time. And I went and produced a song called Can You Feel It? And Knowledge Me. You can look it up on the internet. And the name of the group became Original Concept because another group came out with the concept while we were getting our deal together. So we changed it to Original Concept because I then started DJing for this other group called the Beastie Boys. And the late great MCA helped change our name. And I was on the road with them for 2.5 years. So I was close with Run DMC, who had a phenomenal album called Raising Hell, who did a record with a group called Aerosmith called Walk This Way. So that was how my big musical career started. And it all started in the basement of my home with moderate equipment. And I used what I had and made it work. From very cheap keyboards and reel-to-reel recording devices and cassette machines to actually recording for major stars and getting a job on MTV hosting with my partner Ed Lover and my buddy who was with my group of the concept, T-Money, on a show called Yo MTV Raps Today, which became a worldwide phenomenon. Thank you, Fab Five Freddy, who hosted the weekend show and didn't want to do the daily show. So we were invited to go and become hosts of the daily show, which we not only hosted, we programmed, we innovated, and we met every major star that you would think is on your internet the way it is now. We did that. And they came through our doors. And that's how I became Dr. Dre. But I always was Dr. Dre because I carried that name from playing sports since I was since I was your age. From 13 to 18, yes. I was always Dr. Dre because I used to be a ball boy for the New York Nets. And there was a league called the American Basketball Association. And there was a player named Julius Dr. J. Irving. Look him up. One of the greatest basketball players of that time. He was the Michael Jordan and the LeBron James of that time. He changed the way basketball was played. So with that kind of influence and those people around, I had nothing but looking up to do. It wasn't always easy. It wasn't always profitable. And it wasn't always the flashiest and the best. But we were creative, determined, and we knew and we believed in ourselves because we helped each other. I did political projects like when South Africa had apartheid, they did a thing called I Won't Play Sun City on a record called with Little Steven Van Zandt, who was with Bruce Springsteen, that he did this record with rappers and rock and roll artists, jazz artists, country artists, said we won't play Sun City so we can stop apartheid because Nelson Mandela was in jail. So we fought and helped them to get out because everything connects in the world. It really does. So that's pretty much how I got started.
Yeah. So thank you for talking with us today, Dr. Dre. And I really appreciate you giving us your time and just having this great conversation with us. So this is it for Aaliyah's Tea Talk, and tune in later. Bye.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Be well. Hello, is that it?
That's it.
Well,